So we're going to talk about this whole Last Supper and this picture. And if you listen really good and take part, we can get done, and then you know what comes next, right?
Yeah.
You get to hunt for candy. So let's look at this story a little bit. First we want to look, can you all hold up your puzzle? Did you all get it done? Okay, where have you seen that picture before?
Right there.
Right there, right? So do you think that they really all sat on one side of the table like that?
Oh, yes, of course.
No.
Actually, that was done, of course, for the picture. In Jesus' time, they actually sat on cushions on the floor at a really low table, and they kind of reclined at the table and ate. So I want to show you a couple. That's the most famous picture of the Last Supper. That's one you see in a lot of places and a lot of churches, and that's very simple. There's another version of it. Looks a little different, does it? What's different about that table?
You're all sitting around it.
They're sitting around it, yes, so they can all see each other, right? Okay, let's see if there's another one. Here's a more modern one. And it's the same, right? They're on both sides of the table. Right. Okay, let's see if there's another one. Ah, this is a really modern one. Notice anything about this one?
They're all laying down.
They look like they're laying down.
They're reclining.
Okay, anybody there that would be a surprise? There's a cat there. Yeah. So I think what that artist is trying to tell us is to answer the question, who is welcome at the table with Jesus? Who is welcome? Everybody. Good answer. So we're going to talk about how we kind of got to this night. And I've got this story here. I've got my helper here. She's going to be our waitress tonight and helper. So I'm going to quickly read this story from the Story Bible. If you'll all listen carefully to this, and then we'll act it out a little bit, and then you can go hunt for eggs, okay? Here's the story. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave this world. He wanted to share his last Passover meal together with his 12 closest friends. Who's Jesus at this table? Okay, so Jesus, would you please stand up? Okay. And then you have your 12 closest friends with you. And before the meal started, Jesus came around the table. Jesus came around the table. And he put a towel on him, and then he asked Peter to come. And then Peter is going to sit here, honey, for a minute, okay? We're going to put this down for a minute. Okay? And then what do you suppose Jesus was going to do? He's going to wash Peter's feet. Does that sound kind of like a strange thing to do? Well, here's the deal. They walked around on dusty roads and sandals, and it was the very lowest servant, the least paid person, whose job it was to wash feet. Would that be a fun job to wash everybody's feet?
No.
And Peter, what does Peter say when Jesus wants to wash his feet?
You're not going to wash my feet.
And then Jesus says that whatever the lowest servant does, he does. And then he tells him, I've done a good thing for you, so you should do it for others. Okay? So that's in the Gospel of John. It tells us that Jesus did that. Then, as they were eating, Jesus begins to tell his disciples that one of them is going to betray him. Do you know what betray means? To not be faithful, to turn somebody in, to do something that's going to hurt them. And so all the disciples say to each other, "It's not me, is it? It's not me, is it?" And then Jesus says, "One who is eating with me will betray me." And then Jesus, to help them understand, he picked up a loaf of bread, he took it, he blessed it, and then he said, "Take and eat. This is my body, broken for you." I bet they really thought, what is he talking about? Because they really didn't get it, what was going to happen. And then he picked up the cup and he said, "Drink from this, all of you." And then he said, "The one who ate with me is one who will betray me." And guess what? One of the gospel tells us that then Judas got up and walked out of the room. Uh-oh, there's Judas, and he's leaving. And then Jesus also said, "One of you, Peter, will deny me." What does it mean to deny? That's right. So to say like, "No, I don't know him. No, I don't know him." And Peter says, "No, I won't do that." And Jesus says, "Before the rooster crows 3 times, you will deny me." And Peter doesn't believe it. And then after the supper was over, Jesus and the disciples go to the garden. They get up from the meal, they go to the garden, and Jesus prays. And that's where we get the Last Supper from, because it's the Last Supper that Jesus eats on earth with his disciples. But when we do communion, how many of you have been in Sunday school or church when we've done communion? What do you get? You get supper. We give you a little piece of bread and a little bit of juice. And that reminds us of this meal. So the next time you take communion, you can remember this meal and how Jesus ate with his disciples. There's a picture that somebody drew of Jesus maybe tearing the bread and getting ready to serve the disciples. I think that's the last picture, right? Yep. Okay. So now I think the best thing to do is to take your costumes off. If you want to just bring your costumes over here and then go back to your tables, and Carrie will then tell you what you're going to do next.
Can we get a hand for our volunteers that helped? All right. So, did everybody find all their puzzle pieces? Yeah? Yeah, were any of them really, really hard to find or figure out? No? You guys figured them all out really easy? Okay. All right. Once everybody has gone back to their spots, Michelle, are you cool if the youth go first?